And witness Dan McPhee was on Bourbon Street when the attack happened, says he witnessed it. I want to bring Dan on to talk a little bit more about that. And Dan, first of all, I'm so sorry to you that you had to see this and that this is how you're starting off your new year. Can you tell us a little bit about what happened and what you saw?
Yeah. We were wrapping up the night and we were leaving my hotel room because we needed to get an Uber for some of the people we were with that night or early this morning. So we walked out to Canal Street and we were waiting there for the Uber. And there was a white F-150 at a stoplight. While we were waiting, I heard tires screeching, and that drew my attention to the white pickup. And it made a right-hand turn onto Bourbon, and it was heading directly towards me and the female friend I had with me, and basically wrapped my arms around her and threw ourselves to the right in the vehicle. I don't remember exactly if it hit me or if some debris, but we were flown into the air and came down on the sidewalk. And then the vehicle did hit a gentleman that I was standing beside. And while we were down on the ground, it appeared that he was breathing. And then the woman behind him didn't appear to be breathing. And the vehicle continued down the road. The police immediately started to push us back away from the people so that they could attend to him. It seemed like a short time passed, and then we heard the gunshots rung out, and we were sat on the sidewalk basically while we waited for medical attention.
Dan, police are saying the vehicle got around police barricades. Were you able to see how?
My recollection is that they do have barriers. I believe they can raise and lower. I don't believe they were up. I didn't see any that were up. I was kind of surprised that the vehicle was able to get as far as it did, just considering the amount of people that were on Bourbon Street. They did have those metal gates that they were able to move back and forth. I don't know if they were down just for the Uber drivers and Lyft drivers to get through, but I don't remember seeing them up.
About slavery, but few discuss paper genocide. We did not all come from Africa, and most of us have Aboriginal roots that were stripped away due to reclassification and miseducation. As a native Black American and a member of the Muskogee Creek Nation, I understand the importance of tracing your lineage. If you want to learn how to trace your genealogy and apply for tribal citizenship, go to nativeblackancestry.com to schedule a consultation.
They don't want you to remember this. You not no slave, you indigenous. Fuck how they painted them Indians. You went to war with the French and the British, man. Quite frankly, you was kings, Merovingians. They took the women and men, made them prisoners, raised up the children to worship their images, set up a lab to the genes and they mixed them, and this shit get way deeper than your pigment.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let me get some fists and feathers in the chat if you can hear me loud, crisp, and clear, and we'll go ahead and get this party started. Hit the like button on the way in, subscribe to the channel if you're new, hit the Cash App or the PayPal if you support independent media. Now let's get on with the program. New Orleans, a suspect accused of a deadly terrorist attack on New Year's Day has now been identified. The FBI has identified the suspect accused of carrying out the attack as 42-year-old Shamsud Din Jabbar. Let me say that again for the people in the back. 42-year-old Shamsud Din Jabbar. Jabbar was driving a Ford pickup truck, which the FBI says appears to have been rented, and we're working to confirm how he came in possession of the truck. An ISIS flag was located in the truck, and the FBI is working to determine if the suspect has associations or affiliations with a terrorist organization. According to the FBI, Jabbar drove a pickup truck into the crowd, killing at least 15 people and injuring dozens. The FBI says after hitting the crowd, he got out of the car and began firing at law enforcement. Shots were returned by law enforcement, and Jabbar was killed at the scene. Weapons and IEDs were located in the truck. And ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know what an IED is, I know what it means. I wonder if I know the acronyms. I believe IED is improvised explosive device. So these are basically makeshift bombs that go boom. You know, it can be a little pound of C4, a cell phone, a wire, a piece of gum, and next thing you know, you have a makeshift bomb. Now, I'd like to highlight one of the first comments that this broadcast got. Shout out to Fortune. Fortune says, he's not a migrant, fam. Yes, guys, if you see my title, if you see my thumbnail, I mentioned that a migrant terrorist rampage has happened in Louisiana. Civilians killed, cops shot. Now, let me explain why I refer to him as a migrant terrorist, because the official record, the mainstream media, is going to tell you that Jabbar is a citizen of the United States, that Jabbar even served in the United States military. Well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? With the surname Jabbar, there ain't no way that you're indigenous to the Americas, nor a foundational American, nor a Native American, such as myself, card-carrying member of the Muskogee Creek Nation. So I say all that to say, I don't give a damn if you're a first-generation migrant, a second-generation migrant, a third-generation migrant. I don't care if you married some grandma to get your papers and come over here legally. I don't care if you followed the legal migration process and now you have citizenship. I want to know where your allegiance lies. And I'm highlighting a special issue that we're now faced with. It's not just migrants fresh off the border coming over here raping and killing and pillaging, but we've got some migrant sleeper cell agents. We got some migrants that have been over here for a generation or two. Mama and daddy own some 7-Elevens. They pay their taxes. Everything's cool. And next thing you know, IEDs are going off in fucking Louisiana. And you wonder why I highlight the fact that this man is a migrant. I don't give a damn if he has his citizenship or not. Shamsud Din Jabbar. And y'all gonna tell me he ain't a migrant. Either he's a migrant or his parents are. Either he's a migrant or he's a descendant of migrants. Either way, apparently his allegiance lied with ISIS and not with the United States of America.
You know, one thing that we haven't really heard are personal witness accounts of what happened out there. And we caught up with someone who was there this morning as this horrific scene unfolded. So let's take a listen to what they had to say.
Like around 3:15, everybody just chilling. We having a good time, music playing and all that. A truck, I didn't know it was a Ford F-150. I thought it was like a Yukon or something. A truck hits the corner and comes barreling through people, throwing people like a movie scene, like real life, throwing people into the air. They falling under the car, all of that. And a good friend of mine actually passed away from getting hit by it. And you know the little divots in the wall just like this? So this is what a lot of people jumped into to get away from the truck. But yeah, so after it gets past us, the guy,
Come on, y'all. This is crazy. This is absolute madness. We have young Native Black Americans who are traumatized by this act of terror. And y'all gonna play semantics in the comment section with me, talking about he's not a migrant. Okay, Shamsud Din Jabbar, who just committed a terrorist attack with improvised explosive devices, had a shootout with the police, killed 10, 15 people, and had a goddamn ISIS flag in his pickup truck. You gonna tell me he wasn't a migrant? Okay. I wonder how far his lineage can trace back to the United States, because y'all gonna get me hot tonight. Y'all gonna get me real upset tonight. You know what? I've never been to Louisiana. I was just talking to a friend the other day, and I said to that friend, damn, if there was ever any place that I'd want to just take a vacation just to eat food, it'd be to Louisiana. Man, I want to go to Louisiana. And imagine I could have decided to spend New Year's Eve in Louisiana. And next thing you know, a pickup truck is driving through the crowd. A shootout ensues. Bombs are going off around me. Why? Because of a goddamn migrant. Come on. I don't care if the migrant worked for Uncle Sam for a little bit and was used as a pawn in the US military. I don't care if the migrant shacked up with someone to get a green card or paid the right immigration official. I don't care about none of that. Unless you are a descendant of indigenous peoples of the Americas, or African slaves that were shipped here against their will, all of you guys are migrants. Tom, that means you. Rebecca, that means you. The list goes on and on and on and on and on. Let me say it again. Unless you're a descendant of indigenous people of the Americas or African slaves that were shipped here against their will, then you're a descendant of migrants. That means you too, Josue. That means you too, Isabel. Just because you speak Spanish and live in Mexico, that doesn't mean you're indigenous. Grandpapa was a conquistador that raped and pillaged the native people. I mean, guys, do your history. I'm just curious. As a full-time genealogist, as a historian, it just hits different to me. It just hits a little bit different. Y'all want to play semantics with me, talking about he's not a migrant. I wonder how far his lineage can be traced back to the United States. God damn it, let me be real petty. I got so many family trees here. I'm doing genealogy research for so many clients. Hold on. Let me go to create and manage trees real quick. Here we go. Lane family tree. That's my family tree. I wonder, I can pull up my family tree here. And on my father's side, we going back to the 1830s. On the mother's side, we going back to the late 1700s. And I'm just curious. I just wonder, how far back can Jabbar trace his lineage in the United States? I have a sneaking suspicion it's not that far. Because if he had deeper roots here in my ancestral homeland, then he wouldn't be a terrorist, for one. He wouldn't kill innocents, for two. And he wouldn't have pledged allegiance to fucking ISIS. But I digress. And with that said, if you guys haven't booked a genealogy consultation yet, I urge you to do so. Hit me up. I've got some special deals going on for the beginning of the year. But oh Lord, I'm going to try not to be so upset when these migrants is out here wilding.
My name's Major Wright. I just got done with my consultation with Mike. If you trying to trace your ancestry, Mike is a good first step to go through. He's going to break it down to you, all 3 steps to get you what you need. And if you want somebody to maybe do the research for you, you pay that price and Mike can help you too. But yes, he will fill you up with knowledge that you never knew and give you all the things like those unanswered questions in your head throughout time. Talk to Mike, man. He's a great dude. I believe in Mike.
I didn't know it was a terrorist, but the guy ends up getting out and shooting people. Like he had ARs and bombs and all that, man. But the aftermath was really what got me. Like bodies all up and down the street. Everybody screaming and hollering. You look down, you see somebody doing CPR. You look around, people crying on the floor, like brains matter all over the ground. And yeah, it really hurt me to see like one of my closest friends like that. So we ran one way. So like about 5 feet away from the curb, and we ran into the bar to be protected by the little divot. And I'm supposing I could have sworn she was behind me, but now that I'm doing the math, it's seeming like she ran a different direction. But I was assuming she was behind me. So when I ran into there, her cousin was also with me, her best friend.
Panther Jones says this happened in Louisiana. Are the victims Black Americans? I believe some of them have been confirmed to be Black Americans. This right here is a foundational Black American, and he's talking about how he was there, and at bare minimum, he was traumatized. You know, he escaped with his life, but one of his friend, I believe, was a casualty, and we're not going to just assume that his friend was a Black American as well, but come on, this was Louisiana. Our community was impacted because a migrant named Jabbar said, you know what? Let's not be a secret ISIS cell anymore. New Year's Eve is a nice time to set off some IEDs and run people over.
Was also with me. So I saw her, and then I'm moving people out of the way to try and find her because she's quite small. So I'm moving people out of the way to try to find her. I'm saying, nah, like, where is she? And I turn my head, and it's her in the street, just leaking blood. And I knew. She looked peaceful though. I'm glad she went peacefully, you know. Oh, she was about to go to college actually in about 2 weeks. About to go to college. She works at a hospital making good money right now, but she wanted to be an RN, a travel nurse. So we were at the bar, the Desires, and hit her and flung her like at least 30 feet. And yeah, man, I was lucky to be alive. I'm lucky to be alive right now. This is my first time being in Bourbon, by the way. So, like, insane first experience. I'll never come back. Like, you won't ever see me here again. But I think it was Desires or some along right across from Voodoo Chicken. So, yeah, we were right across from there, and then everything started to unfold. It was insane, man. Like, the real closest thing to a war zone I've ever seen, truly.
Just hearing those stories from people are just absolutely horrific. When we hear him describe just seeing one of his best friends just run over on the street.
And if you look at the video, you saw that there were a number of people that the suspect did miss. Unfortunately, they share that trauma. They share all of those unfortunate memories.
To everyone at the Department of Homeland Security, the Department of Justice, including the FBI, for working nonstop to investigate this heinous act. The FBI is leading the investigation to determine what happened, why it happened, whether there was any continuing threat to public safety. Here's what we know so far. The FBI has reported to me the killer was an American citizen, born in Texas. He served in the United States Army on active duty for many years.
And you see why I say we need to end birthright citizenship. I don't give a damn that your Arabic parents fled to my homeland and had your ass on my soil. I don't care. I don't care that they were able to get on a banana boat, sneak into my country, and you were born over here. I don't give a damn. Because even though you were born here, Jabbar, you clearly never pledged allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I guess you missed those days at school. Guys, Sleepy Joe has some explaining to do, because it's not just these, oh, I just snuck through the hole in the border fence 5 minutes ago migrants. It's not just those, but it's these birthright citizenship migrants that we got to look out for. You're born and raised in Texas, and you would think you were born with some American values. God damn it, it's Texas after all, but mommy and daddy raised you to be an ISIS terrorist.
Years. He also served in the Army Reserve until a few years ago. The FBI also reported to me that mere hours before the attack, he posted videos on social media indicating that is inspired by ISIS, expressing a desire to kill. The ISIS flag was found in his vehicle, which he rented to conduct this attack. Possible explosives were found in the vehicle as well, and more explosives were found nearby. The situation is very fluid, and the investigation has a preliminary stage. And the fact is that right now, there you go. The law enforcement and intelligence community are continuing to look for any connections, associations, or co-conspirators. We have nothing additional to report at this time. The investigation is continuing to be active, and no one should jump to conclusions. I've directed my Attorney General.
Oh, hell no, hell no, hell no, hell no. Biden is fumbling right before our eyes. Hey, I'm not one of these super staunch Trump supporters rocking a bunch of red MAGA hats, but I know for a fact if this happened after Trump was already in office, Trump would give a much more riveting speech to the nation than this. Trump, in a very politically correct way, would be like, fuck this motherfucker, we about to come kill his whole family. SEAL Team 6 is kicking in your door soon, bitch. In a very politically correct way, he'd be like, hey, we're going to find you in 5 minutes and send a drone to blow you the fuck up. Like, Biden is all, so we've got to investigate. We're not going to jump to conclusions. You know, we have to look at the evidence. We don't really know what's going on. God damn it. Forget Trump. If it was a Bush, whether Bush Jr. or Senior, if it was a Bush in office, he'd be like, well, hey, you know, I'm a Texan, and all I'm going to say is sometimes you got to get the rope and get some money to pay the hangman. like I don't know. He would have some weird Texas Middle Eastern politically correct way of saying, we're coming to your country really soon to make you pay for this and make you wish you'd never do it again. But not Biden. Biden's letting the migrants in. The migrants are committing acts of terror. And he's like, oh, well, we're going to investigate and we're going to take a little look-see and don't jump to conclusions, though. But we found an ISIS flag and yeah.
The FBI director, the Secretary of Homeland Security, the head of the National Counterterrorism Center, and the intelligence community to work on this intensively until we have a full and complete information. And once we have that information, I will share that information as soon as we can confirm it. Additionally, we're tracking the explosion of a cyber truck outside the Trump Hotel in Las Vegas. Law enforcement and the intelligence community are investigating this as well, including whether there's any possible connection with the attack in New Orleans. Thus far, there's nothing to report on that score at this time. I've directed my team.
Wait, what? Huh? So did you just like purposefully throw dirt on Trump's name? Low key, high key for no apparent reason? He's like, hey, there was also a truck outside of Trump Towers, and we don't know if it's related. We don't really think it is. Nothing really to report at that, but yeah. Like, Biden and Kamala just can't address the nation without saying Trump. One way or another, the word Trump has to come out of their mouth. I got to run that back. Why did he just bring up a truck outside of Trump Towers and then say, oh, it's probably nothing, though, guys. Don't worry about it.
New Orleans. Thus far, there's nothing to report on that score at this time. Additionally, we're tracking the explosion of a cyber truck outside the Trump Hotel in Las Vegas.
Okay, hold on. Time out. Now I heard him correctly. I had to replay it, slow it down a little bit. God damn it, he's a terrible orator. So a cyber truck exploded outside of Las Vegas. That's kind of news. A truck exploded. Kind of not relative at all. That's Las Vegas. This terrorist attack was in Louisiana. If you're going to reference that, you would think he's going to be like, hey, I'm bringing this up because we found some kind of leak or some kind of connection. Like, come on, I'm sure there were several explosions of some kind in America. on New Year's. Come on. I'm sure somebody had a gas leak. Somebody blew up a meth lab. Like, I'm sure there was like, all right, I don't know. Go ahead, Biden. Go ahead, Grandpa.
Enforcement and the intelligence community are investigating this as well, including whether there's any possible connection with the attack in New Orleans. Thus far, there's nothing to report on that score at this time. I directed my team to make sure every resource is made available to federal, state, and local law enforcement to complete the investigation in New Orleans quickly and to make sure there's no remaining threat to the American people. And we'll support the people of New Orleans as they begin the hard work of healing. New Orleans is a place unlike any other place in the world. It's a city full of charm and joy.
Yeah, don't give me that bullshit. You're part of the same political elite that left New Orleans underwater during Hurricane Katrina. You're a part of the same political establishment that demonized Native Black Americans that were searching for food and called them looters, and you sent Blackwater in there to kill a bunch of folks and steal a bunch of documents. And yeah, don't give me the whole "we love New Orleans," guys. Stop it.
So many people around the world love New Orleans because of its history, its culture, and above all, its people. So I know, while this person committed a terrible assault on the city, the spirit of our New Orleans will never, never, never be defeated. It always will shine forth. We've seen that time and time again throughout its history, and I know we'll see it again in the days and weeks ahead. May God bless the people of New Orleans. May God bless our police and our first responders. May God protect our troops, and we'll keep you fully, contemporaneously informed. Thank you.
Have you spoken to President Trump? Are you concerned about more attacks? Have you spoken to President Trump? Investigated as a terror attack?
And then his old ass just waddles off and ignores everyone. I gotta replay that. La 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 la. Gotta go eat some pudding. La la la. Like, come on. I feel like Trump would have at least answered a few questions. Trump would have had a, very crass bravado, very serious, hey, we're gonna get retribution. The fair, this motherfucker just gave a lackadaisical speech. Hey, we don't really know what happened. Let's not jump to conclusions. We're gonna look into it though. And then he just waddled off stage right.
Previously informed. Thank you.
Have you spoken to President Trump? Are you concerned about more attacks? Have you spoken to President Trump? Investigated as a terror attack?
Close the door. Bro, I feel like I'm watching a scene from The Office. This is wild. Without the camera spanning over and shit. Tell me this isn't the scene from The Office. So, Mr. President, can I have a word? Gotta go.
God protect our troops, and we'll keep you fully, contemporaneously informed. Thank you.
Have you spoken to President Trump? Are you concerned about more attacks? Have you spoken to President Trump? Investigated as a terror attack?
He's like, motherfucker, I only got a few more weeks. I'm out this bitch. You ain't asking me nothing. Damn, they just got the camera running? This is awkward.
The suspect in the New Orleans vehicle attack has been identified by the FBI as a 42-year-old Army veteran from Texas. Investigators say they believe Shamsuddin Jabbar wasn't acting alone, and they're looking into whether he had accomplices. It's believed Jabbar drove a pickup truck at high speed into large crowds, killing 15 people and leaving dozens of others injured. He opened fire before being shot dead by police. The FBI says a flag for the Islamic State group was found in the vehicle. And police say they found a number of improvised explosive devices in the French Quarter neighborhood where this attack took place. Our correspondent, Tom Bateman, is in New Orleans tonight on Bourbon Street. Tom.
Well, the scene itself, Jane, remains locked down, the very historic centre of this city, and the point at which, if you look behind this large police van on this strip here, was where that white pickup truck sped up, gained speed, took a right turn down Bourbon Street, perhaps the best known thoroughfare in New Orleans, and then ploughed into crowds on the scene there. Now, in the last few minutes, we have seen more police arrive here as they continue to scour the scene for clues in this city so used to celebration that saw a night of violence erupt. New Orleans at New Year's Eve. This part of the city is its best known, a tourism and nightlife hotspot. Just after 3 a.m., chaos unfolds. The first signs of panic as police race to the scene. What they find, much of which is too graphic to show, is the immediate aftermath of a ramming attack. Officers say a man in a pickup truck plowed into a crowd, trying to run over as many people as he could. He then unleashed a shootout with police who fired back and killed him.
It did involve a man driving a pickup truck down Bourbon Street at a very fast pace, and it was very intentional behavior. This man was trying to run over as many people as he possibly could.
I had my genealogy consultation with Mike today. I highly recommend it. He has a lot of information that will probably benefit you guys. And if you ever get a chance, just give him a chance. You know, he's a great guy, and I believe he's trustworthy. Very, very trustworthy.
Anybody who is on the fence about having Mike help you or walk you through or educating you about genealogy and the genocide that has happened with the paper trail, I implore you to reach out, allow him to educate you and assist you in this process. I have learned so much in this consultation. I feel educated, empowered, and excited for learning about my history, and looking forward to the future. So if you're on the fence, please go ahead, hit up Mike. I promise you will not be disappointed.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us here on CBS News 24/7. I'm Lindsay Reiser, and we are following that breaking news out of New Orleans. At least 10 people are dead and dozens more injured after city officials say a man intentionally drove a pickup truck into a crowd. Witnesses and law enforcement say that happened at a high rate of speed and that the suspect did so intentionally. Now, it happened on the world-famous Bourbon Street overnight at Bourbon and Canal Streets as people were celebrating the new year around 3:15 in the morning local time. Officials say the man drove.
So for one, not only is this a good rallying cry to end birthright citizenship, but for two, this also shows why harsher gun laws do nothing but penalize law-abiding citizens. These motherfuckers don't need guns to commit acts of terror. He just got in a pickup truck and killed 10 people. When he got out the truck after it crashed and he got in a shootout with police, he didn't kill anybody with no bullets, but he killed over 10 people with his car. Just like the Middle Eastern dudes be doing in the UK, they'll go with like a knife or a van and just run over a bunch of people, stab a bunch of people, throw some acid on a bunch of people. They don't need guns. And even if you make the gun laws harsher, they're criminals. They don't care.
Around barricades and hurtled down the street before opening fire on police officers. Now, 2 police officers were hit by gunfire and rushed to the hospital. They are in stable condition. CBS News has learned the suspect is dead, shot and killed by police. Officials say a long gun was recovered from the scene and potential explosive devices were also recovered and are being analyzed. The city's mayor referred to this as a likely terrorist attack, and the FBI is saying it is investigating it as terrorism. CBS News senior White House and political correspondent Ed O'Keefe joins us now from West Palm Beach, Florida. Ed, what are we hearing first from the White House?
Lindsay, good to be with you. Yes, the president actually just moments ago, as you were beginning this latest round of reporting, just issued a statement by way of the White House saying that he has been briefed all morning long by his top Homeland Security officials and reiterates that the FBI is in charge of this. The statement reads in part, "I'm grateful for the brave and swift response of local law enforcement in preventing even greater death and injury. I have directed my team to ensure every resource is available as federal, state, and local law enforcement work assiduously to get to the bottom of what happened as quickly as possible and to ensure that there is no remaining threat of any kind." That's notable because it suggests that perhaps there's still a concern, at least among federal and state officials, that maybe there are others out there who've been involved in this in some way that have yet to be discovered. He says he'll continue to receive updates throughout the day and have more to say later. There is no justification, he says, for violence of any kind, and we will not tolerate any attack on any of our nation's communities. We're here in West Palm Beach, of course, because President-elect Trump lives here. He is currently over at his golf course, but issued a statement through his Truth Social platform a little while ago, beginning by sort of suggesting, "I told you so," saying that when I said that the criminals coming in are far worse than the criminals we have in our country, that statement was constantly refuted by Democrats and the fake news media, but it turned out to be true. What he's suggesting there is that...
And this is what I'm talking about. Trump is treating him like the migrant that he is. We don't care that he was born in Texas. We care about their lineage. We care about where their parents and their grandparents came from. We care about who you pledge allegiance to. And although he was born and raised in Texas, Mr. What's his name? Jafar? No, I'm just being funny. That's old boy from Aladdin. His name is Shamsud Din Jabbar. Clearly, his U.S. citizenship wasn't enough to have allegiance to America. Clearly, him spending some time in the military wasn't enough for him to develop allegiance for America. And Trump isn't playing semantics or, oh, well, he was technically a citizen. No, we see it for what it is. This is a migrant.
Whoever this is has come into the country either legally or illegally. We don't know that yet about the alleged attacker in New Orleans. So notable that the president-elect is already putting out that either assumption or perhaps he knows something that hasn't been shared more widely yet. We'll wait and see. But he continues the statement saying our hearts are with all of the innocent victims and their loved ones, including the brave officers of the New Orleans Police Department. The Trump administration will fully support the city of New Orleans as they investigate and recover from this act of pure evil. Notably, House Speaker Mike Johnson, who's from Louisiana, is set to be here in Florida today to meet with the president-elect. He tweeted out a little while ago that this vicious attack on innocent people celebrating the New Year in New Orleans early this morning was an act of pure evil, and justice must be swift for anyone who was involved. Please join us in praying for the victims, their families, and the first responders and investigators on the scene. He's from more northern parts of Louisiana, but Steve Scalise, who, of course, is a member of the House Republican leadership team, is from the greater New Orleans area. And he just said a little while ago on social media, please join me in praying for the victims and their families, as well as our first responders in the wake of the horrific act of violence on Bourbon Street. So we will continue to monitor, Lindsay, the federal response. But two notable things there. First, that the president himself is suggesting they're still working to ensure that there's nobody else involved in this and that the real threat of it is over. Second, that the president-elect is at least surmising or assuming that this is somebody from outside the United States who caused this. Again, we have to stress, we don't know for certain yet, based on what officials have said, who this individual is, what they were doing.
With a last name like Jabbar, we know exactly where they're from. The Arabian Peninsula. Come on, let's not play ignorant now, news anchor.
There are concerns about the vehicle that he drove, what's on it, where it came from. Was it from Texas, as the license plates and images suggest? Or was it a rental that perhaps was picked up there in Louisiana? Because a lot of rental cars do have Texas plates. We'll wait and see. But clearly here on what it was supposed to be, or what would normally be a holiday, all aspects of government now up and running and monitoring this situation and eager to learn more.
All right. Ed O'Keefe, always appreciate your steadfast reporting. Thank you. We are continuing to monitor this breaking news out of New Orleans, where at least 10 people have been killed and at least 35 hurt when a man drove a truck into a crowd on Bourbon Street. The FBI is investigating this as possible terrorism.
Possible terrorism, my ass. I mean, we got IEDs, improvised explosive device. We got an ISIS flag. We got a surname that's clearly Middle Eastern or red dot on the forehead Indian, not to be confused with American Indian. Come on, guys. Let's not feign ignorance. But with everything that's going on, and honestly, this is my first time researching this story, and I'm reacting to it live with you guys all here right now. I mean, I don't really do much research beforehand. We just kind of do a live candid reaction. But right now, I really feel called to participate in a moment of silence. So if you guys can just go along with me for just a few moments, and let's give a brief moment of silence for all of the native-born Americans that lost their lives due to this act of terror from this, what do we call them, a first generation or a second generation migrant? Either way, let's go ahead and have a quick moment. And we're back. Yeah, go ahead and spam your candles in the chat. Put those candle emojis up. I mean, normally the new year is something to be celebrated. It's a time to rejoice. It's a time for planning. It's a time for renewal. And hey, when we let some Middle Easterns come over here and have their babies in our country, next thing you know, their babies, although they're raised in our culture, they're raised in our society, their parents raised them to be ISIS terrorists. Come on, y'all, let's talk about it. And guys, as a genealogist, I try to do what I can. I'd like to do something special since we are dealing with trying times across the country. So you guys know I got my new website, nativebblackancestry.com. And traditionally, if you book a genealogy consultation through the website, as you can see, it's $75 for those 90-minute consultations. But if instead of going to the website to book, for everybody who's watching this broadcast and those watching the replay, a little special offer for you, if you will, is if instead of booking through the website, if you email me directly, mike@nativebblackancestry.com. I'll hook you up with a special discount just to kind of look out for our community because it is trying times all the way around. I mean, before we were dealing with acts of terror, we were dealing with hurricanes. Before the hurricanes, we were dealing with inflation. Before that, we had a red dot on the forehead Indian girl cosplaying as a Native Black American. I mean, we're just always under attack. We're always dealing with something. So, I try to help out the best way I can. We are going to go ahead and wrap up this live stream here shortly. Don't go anywhere. When this live stream ends, there's going to be a countdown, and the next live stream is going to begin automatically. On the next live stream, guess what? We're once again reporting a horrific crime caused by a migrant. If you guys haven't heard, we've got a migrant in New York City on the subway that burned a woman alive. Broad daylight. I don't know if he's from Venezuela or from Cuba or where. He looks South American, but either way, guys, when this broadcast ends, there's going to be a countdown on the screen. Don't go anywhere. We're going to keep on pumping out the news about this salacious migrant crime wave that we're faced with.
We are following the breaking news out of New Orleans after a white pickup truck rammed into individuals on Bourbon Street in the early hours of 2025 around 3:15 a.m. A white pickup truck turned onto Bourbon Street, running his truck into individuals, killing now, as confirmed by the FBI, 15 people, multiple people still in the hospital being treated for their injuries as well. The suspect has in fact now been neutralized, identified as a 42-year-old male who was born in the United States, living in Texas, serving in the Army for 9+ years, the Army Reserves for 5 years as well. I want to bring in George Solis, who's on the ground for us in New Orleans, to talk more about the scene on the ground, how people are feeling, the energy of folks right now, George, in New Orleans.
Yeah. Yasmin, I think I lost you there for a second, but if you're still with me, what I can tell you is obviously there is a very somber scene here on the ground. This is the day after New Year, so what we would expect to see is people celebrating. There'd be a vibrant mood out here. Instead, what you have, lots of police crime tape. You have a heavy police presence here. You have state police. You have the local police. We have other law enforcement agencies that are going to be descending here as part of this ongoing investigation. We're also learning, again, that death toll just climbing to 15 now. We're also learning a little bit more about the victims, some names that are filtering out there online, some which we will not share until we are certain that next of kin notification. But I can tell you from our own reporting, we're hearing from the Israel Ministry of Foreign Affairs They say 2 Israel citizens were injured in that ramming incident. We're also hearing from the University of Georgia. Keep in mind, many people here were here for the Sugar Bowl. So you had students from the University of Georgia, from the University of Notre Dame. They say, University of Georgia says, one of their students was critically injured in the attack and is receiving medical treatment.